Well, joined now by His Royal Highness Oba Dr. Adetoye Alatishe, who is the Gbengonde of Ososa. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Thank you very much.
Happy Independence Day.
Thank you very much.
And happy birthday, too.
Thank you very much.
So it happens to be Nigeria's day. It's also your day.
That's right. I hope I will go away with my birthday gifts.
We hope so, too.
We'll have a birthday cake.
Yeah, but I brought additional gifts, particularly Orobo, and then I brought Robo and Adun, which is made predominantly in Ososa.
Okay, I hope our producers will take a look at it.
No, we brought it for you. It's for you and Mope.
Oh, they said they already eaten it backstage. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, Ines.
Okay, but looking at today, it's a day Nigerians expect to be happy, forge ahead, look ahead of the future, and be proud to be Nigerians looking through. But the president has given that speech today, and he was very upbeat in this speech, saying that he's positive, he's confident that Nigeria, the future will be better than yesterday, saying all the promises he's made, he will keep all of those. But you relate to people at the grassroots, you feel their pulse, you know what they say about governance at every level. What's your perspective about our independence and what Nigerians think?
First of all, I'd like to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity once again. First, I'm proud to be a Nigerian, and I'm really very proud to be a Nigerian. And I also think that all of us Nigerians are very proud. It's a unique country. We're very lucky. I would say that anywhere. Those people who are predicting Nigeria breaking up in 2015 are just making unnecessary noise. For me, Nigeria is not going to break up. Rather, we're going to continue to grow. The development so far is good. And I think we also must give kudos to Mr. President. I believe, I'm one of those people who believe that he's doing his best. What we expected will probably come when it's under leadership. That's his style. For me, you've seen a lot of progress from the Jonathan that was the vice president and the Jonathan that became the president over time. But definitely, in Nigeria, we are always very much in a hurry. We want to get to the places that we figure where we should be. But I think there are quite a number of factors that we need to overcome. But majorly is the idea that we need to be together. And I'm happy. You know, I've seen a lot of people come on TV and speak about national conferences. Some said it was a useless venture. I don't think so. I think it was a brilliant idea that we got people to speak, to sit down, considering the fact that even oppositions have always been agitating for a conference. We had it finally, we spoke about it, they had some resolutions which are supposed to be amendments to the Constitution, and is now going to have a legal backing or being sent to the House of Representatives or the National Assembly. We'll wait and see what the outcome will be. But basically, I think we are where we are supposed to be. We could have been in a better place. But when you look at the kind of leadership we had before this present administration, then you know that we are where we deserve.
What have you noticed? Because, I mean, time and again, you hear people say Nigerians are not very difficult people to lead. Others say they think otherwise. In terms of leadership, I mean, one of the things I imagine you deal with on a regular basis may be also to enjoin people to live peacefully among themselves, perhaps embrace that alternative dispute resolution mechanisms.
That's right.
How easy or difficult are we as a people to appreciate leadership, especially good ones when we see it?
Nigeria is made up of different people. If I talk of my own experience, like in the rural community, you meet quite a number of people, but I still believe that leadership has a lot to do with development. And there is no running away from it. The Yoruba people have a saying that says, an Oba that turns a thick forest into a city, people will not forget it. The one that turns the city into forest will also not be forgotten. So the leadership is really the thing. In the rural setup, everybody knows my door is always open. When I'm in the palace, the door is open till I'm going to bed in the night. Everybody has the right to come in. Even though we have council of chiefs, We have what we call big under in council. We have youth leaders and stuff. But still, and I enjoy that when somebody comes in directly and tell me about his or her problem, and I can sort it out immediately. What I'm saying indirectly is that even our leaders should learn to do that. There's a disconnect, definitely, from the presidential level and even at the state level. And I think that is what governors are trying to do when they do local government talk. But it's not enough. It's not enough. They should keep a door open. They should make an open door policy and listen to people. More often than not, the essays to leaders in this, at the president, are always telling them what they want to hear. There is a difference out there on the street. And people rather would talk to you directly. I think when we begin to create environment where leaders can sit and people can come in and talk and ask questions, and you relate with them and you show up at their personal events where you can be more non-official and the people can approach you and tell you about their problem and you can sort it out, then we'll probably be making a little bit more progress.
I'm listening to your earlier comment, and I think that it is loaded with meaning when you say that as a people, we want to move forward a lot faster, but you think that we're where we deserve to be.
That's right.
What do you mean by that statement?
Yeah, well, it's still the same thing talking about leadership. I really seriously don't want today to start talking about a particular administration, but we had an administration that took our money and gave it to cronies in other areas, in aviation, in road, in petroleum, in oil industry, maybe save for one or two people. What did we have out of that? Nothing, absolutely nothing. You know, money that could have been spent judiciously. When we talk about power generation, we'll probably, it would have been a forgotten issue now, that Nigeria would have had 24 hours power supply. But you know what happened during the last administration. So the issue about leadership, we can never stop talking about it, and until we get the right one. So for me, we are here where we're supposed to be. We could be somewhere else, but that will come when it will come.
Could we say, or can we say, that we have noticed incremental improvement in the quality of leadership that we have had over the years?
Definitely, definitely.
And I'm not talking about this administration, but as a country, would we say that, you know, looking at the level of leadership, the kind of leaders that we have had, we've seen an improvement?
Well, at one time, before the military intervention, we had good leadership in Nigeria, no doubt. When you look at the number of government at that time, it wasn't as big as what we have now, because the size of government sometimes also can be a burden. It is a known fact that we are running a system now that is really very expensive, and I'm not too sure we are getting serious results from the number of people that we have in the House of Assembly, in the House of Rep, and even at the state level. But when you look back at where we were before, particularly during the military era, then you have to agree that we've made a lot of progress. I mean, roads are bad, but they could be better and done thoroughly. But now they are doing this Shagamu-Ibadan Expressway. I have noticed that this is a good road that is being constructed now and probably lasts longer than what we had before. So that's just an example. You know, so for me, it's a matter of how we manage the leadership we have. I don't want to talk about resources, because it's the leadership that is going to manage the resources.
But are we, as a people, holding them accountable enough to the extent that our voices count? They recognize that, look, if you don't do what we want as a people, we will just eventually get you out. Are we getting there?
No, as a people, we are not doing that much. But I think the press are trying a lot, particularly, you know, your station and a few other stations, and then the print media. For me, the number of things that are being said around now. Government are quite aware, and then the populace also are aware of what kind of government we should have or where we should be. And I think to a large extent, the difference will come when it will come, because it is far much better to be talking than to be war, as they said. In the northern part of Nigeria, where we have this insurgency now, something started it, but I believe it was a disconnect between the leadership of that region and the people. Before people start talking about Western education is haram, it got to a level. You see that what they were expecting from the government, they didn't get it, and they felt, okay, these Western people, educated people, we have to. But then it has snowballed into another thing entirely. Where people now steal our oil and then give the money to insurgents. They have their own specific, agenda. Those who have behind all that, they have their own agenda, and it is also to make sure that their pockets are filled.
I'm looking at your role as a traditional leader. You've talked about this disconnect between, the government and the led. And you think that one of the ways they can address it is to maintain an open door policy. Some people will say that the very fact that, you have one person who's going to address so many local governments, say at one level, or maybe one person who's going to address the problems of many states at the federal level, it's an impossible situation. But you who feel the pain because you're closer to the people, you say you can leave your doors open, so that they can come in and tell you what their problems are. Yeah. Do you see traditional rulers doing enough to let, government at all levels understand the pain of the people?
Well, we try at our own level. We try. I can tell you about the Ijebu Traditional Council, for instance. We practice a lot of democracy there. A lot of democracy, serious. We have an able leadership of His Royal Majesty of Dr. Sikiru Awujale, the Adetono, the Awujale of Ijebuland, where issues are brought at the meeting, and we make committees to go and discuss such issues, such little things as how to give assistance to a particular town or a particular group of people. For instance, when we had the issue about Okada, safety of the Okada riders, we had a committee that was constituted by His Royal Majesty. We discussed at length, we brought these people in, a number of them came, they made all their own recommendations. And then we sent the report back to the House, we discussed at the House, it was approved, and now it is being implemented. So that is even at the level of traditional rulers. So what I'm saying is that even at that level, we make sure that we are always feeling the pulse of the people. So I assume that that kind of thing should also be done at the state level. But what do you have, even at the state level? Because of the leadership at the state, sometimes they don't hear what they are supposed to hear, And it is also the fault of followership. Because sometimes, because the governor comes and do what he needs to do, everybody shouts, hey, Baba, and that is it. But really, that is not the case.